Okay, we're live. So, hello everyone. My name is Jenna. I'm the founder and CEO at Million Marker. And at Million Marker, we always promote dedicated to non-toxic living and educating our audience about their chemical exposures. And as you know, like common everyday chemicals like BPA, phthalates, parabens, oxybenzone, they disrupt your hormones. They may also impact your fertility, sleep, immunity, and much more. And then similarly, chronic stress can also have the same impact on your body. And we want to give our audience, a holistic view of, everything that could potentially impact hormone balance. And that's why today we have our friend Annette joining us on Instagram Live. So now I'm gonna invite Annette. Hey, let's see. So I think we're just trying to wait a minute. Oh, here she is.
Yay! Hi, how are you, Jenna? I'm so
Yeah,
happy to be here.
yay, I'm glad the tech works. Also, just let everybody know we're also recording on Zoom in case Instagram crashes on us again, which had happened previously. So to give a little bit of introduction, Annette is an aromatherapist, lots of hats, spa consultant, Reiki master, licensed massage therapist, Nam yoga instructor, and Ayurvedic educator. So she hosts a lot of different, like a various summit webinars, events to mainly empower women through any stage of the pregnancy. So I actually met Annette when she invited me to her fertility and toxicity summit. And it was like a truly rewarding experience, and I learned a ton. And she's doing such great things, so we're extremely happy to have her today. So
Oh,
welcome, Annette.
thank you. Thank you so much, Jenna, for that lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be here and to talk about the nervous system and stress and how all of this can affect the journey.
Awesome. So, like, could you tell us a little bit about your background and, what brought you to this, unique career path, counseling people, not only physically, but also, spiritually helping them getting pregnant?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you, did you hear some resonance right there with the
Yes,
with
a
the
little bit.
sound?
You might have to mute your computer, Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, maybe that's what
Oh,
I need
not
to do.
not not muting but just turning the volume down.
Yep. Yep. That's what it is. Okay. I had it the other way around, I thought. Okay.
Awesome.
So, um, okay. So, yeah, so my journey started, I actually was really in the wellness space. I had my background is in advertising, and I actually decided that that was not the place where I wanted to be. I really felt there was a need in the way that our world was going to really create more of a wellness lifestyle that was so much healthier for how we, a true health really happens in the body. And so that took me on this path where I completely revamped everything. I really just got all of the holistic tools out there. I started training myself and doing different types of trainings until 10 years later, I now have all these different types of philosophies, wisdom, all united in the belief in self-healing. The body can heal itself. And our modern day lifestyle takes us away from that and throws our body into havoc. And so everything that we're talking about today, everything that I believe in is to bring the body back into balance holistically through tools that you have. Sometimes we need support from others. Sometimes, there's other things you can do, like recipes and diet, and all of that is all important, but it's so important just to keep yourself on track. And spirituality is a major component of what creates true health. It's a major component, the mind and the spirit, just as much as the body. So I believe in all of it. It needs to work together.
Absolutely. Being holistic is so important. When people hear the word spirituality, they often think about, religion and others, which isn't really necessarily true. So could you explain the difference to our audience?
Absolutely. Yeah. So spirituality is about a belief in something greater than yourself. So sometimes we connect this to religion, but spirituality in the way that I see it is above religion. So whether you are Hindu, Catholic, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever your religion is, which is based on your upbringing, how your parents, usually how your parents raised you and your family, and that's a lot of tradition is in religion, and rituals that you follow through in whatever religion you are. But spirituality is really above that. Spirituality is about a greater power and also an interconnectedness in everything that is. So it doesn't matter even whether you really believe in God or not. I do, and I actually think your life goes off better when we do believe in that higher power, which is God. But it could be a higher power in how everything is connected in this order in the universe, in the way that things work. So spirituality is actually about trusting. It's about rising above the mundane, everyday, worldly reality, which can have a tendency to bring people down. Mm-hmm. If we stay in the earthly material type of world all the time, and we're not rising above and seeing the bigger picture of life and how interconnected we all are, what I do affects somebody else, the thoughts that we have affects other people, and vice versa. We don't have that empathy to understand that we're all here to bring each other up, then that can have a very devastatingly dense effect on someone. If you think that you are here just to get ahead and just to, it's living more from like an ego consciousness versus a soul consciousness, that's spirituality. When you are rising above the ego and living in more of a soul conscious place, that's going to create a more spiritual life, because you're doing things with intention and with a positive heart, positive intention for everything that you do. That's spirituality.
That's amazing. That's also positive reinforcement, which is we all need it. So why do you think spirituality impact, fertility?
Oh my goodness. It is such a key factor, because even stress can be affected by your spiritual path, your spiritual belief. Spirituality in my community, it is about rising above matter, right? So we have exercise in, and we have specific tips and tools and protocols to help the women rise above all of the worldly concerns, right? All of the everyday mundane concerns. And so that will impact your spirituality or your fertility journey, because it gives you an edge. It allows you to have an opening where before, if things might have felt tight or constricted or limited. And fertility is about opening. It's about being receptive. It's about allowing and flowing. And when we're hanging on to something too much, like we're wanting things to happen a specific way, or we're looking to get ahead or whatever, and we're in this control mentality, or this very focused on like specific tangible results, the things that are important, or I should say valuable in the material world, right? Where things like kindness and empathy don't necessarily have a tangible measurement, right?
True.
So when we're living by the ways of like what actually has physical results in the material world, we tend to overlook the things that actually create the platform for true fertility, which is the state of receptivity, an open heart, living without control, more about allowing, trusting, flowing. And when you have a spiritual mindset, when you see the interconnected of everything, we can let go of the final outcome because we're enjoying the journey. And we also see how we can contribute. And it's not just about amassing, getting to a specific spot, arriving at a specific goal. It's not just about that. Yes, we want the baby. Yes, we want the family. Yes, we want all of that. But allowing, like stepping back and allowing things to happen, not only will help you get it faster, but it will help you enjoy it so much more. And so it's counterintuitive, because when you want something so badly and you see that you're trying and it's not happening, it's counterintuitive. You want to try more. You want to what am I doing wrong? It's frustrating. And the opposite is what will actually help you. So it's really helping someone to get more into that spiritual mindset will actually help her fertility journey. And it sound simple to some people, but when you're in a negative feedback loop of, negative past results or negative things affecting you day in, day out, where, your mind starts to believe all of the negative things that have happened to you. And so then you start to predict your future thinking that they're going to continue to repeat. It's a negative feedback loop. And we attract more of what we focus on, right? So a lot of this laws of the universe and like the law of attraction is one of those. So if we continue to focus our mind and our thoughts on the negative limiting beliefs, then that's what we're going to keep bringing in. So, and if you're someone that is in that situation, let's say you've had repeated miscarriages or failures of any kind in the past, and you're starting to believe those more than you are the unlimited vast possibility of the future, then you need an interruption, and you need to develop more of a spiritual mindset. And sometimes we know what we need, but it's hard to do it. It's harder to do it. And so really setting yourself up for success, having the exercises, the protocols, the spiritual truths that you can listen to that are in your ear, really helping you to have more of an immersion experience, can have such a dramatic impact on your fertility.
Yeah,
the results that are possible.
That's amazing. All these positive reinforcement. So you have an Ayurvedic background, which is also rooted balancing within the body, and this obviously resonate much with what we do here. So our goal is helping people balance their hormones. Could you explain how stress causes hormone imbalance?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have myself muted, and I'm gonna unmute it. I just don't know what's gonna happen with the sound. Is that okay if I try that?
Yeah, try it. Let's try
it. I'm gonna bring I'm not too technical, guys, so just bear with me. Okay, I'm just bringing the volume down over there. Hopefully it's okay. All right. So, a really important part of the body is our parasympathetic nervous system. And if you haven't heard about it already, you probably have if you've been, in the health and wellness space for a little while. But if you haven't, this is key also to helping you have optimal fertility. So there's so many things in our society that are going to create the sympathetic nervous system response. The sympathetic nervous system response is the state of alert, red alert. You need to run away from danger. There's going to be a car that's going to hit you over. You need to spring into action to get out of the way. All of those things that create that heightened state of alert. And so it's important, of course, that we have that for survival. But when your body starts to do that on a more continual basis because of chronic stress, and that can come from, it can be so many different factors. It can even be emotional. It could be childhood triggers that never got resolved. And so anytime you hear a certain word or you get into a specific kind of conversation dynamic, that gets triggered. And now your sympathetic nervous system is starting to come up, which means fear. It means cortisol gets raised higher than it should be. It means that all of the things that cause you to want to jump and protect yourself and fight and prove that you're right, it's the ego, okay? The ego versus the soul consciousness. Once you're in that state, you are constricting and shutting off the door to your possibilities. It is anti-fertility, okay? We want to be in the state of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the state of rest and relax, and things are okay, right? That's the feeling. Everything is okay. We're safe. Once we feel safe, anything is possible. When we don't feel safe and we're in fear, we have the wrong kinds of hormones flooding our system, the wrong kinds of chemicals. It creates the wrong type of environment in our body. The parasympathetic nervous system state is what creates the comfort and the level that you need, the right amount of hormones at the right levels in order for your body to create the platform for fertility, for optimal fertility. And what happens is that when we're in, we sometimes don't realize just being a little stressed out how that can affect us. And so again, as a lot of techniques and tricks to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, one of my favorite is breathing, because with consciousness we can do it. All it takes is learning an exercise and then doing it. You might not know how to calm down your heart rate. You might, and it's an automatic thing, right? We might not know how to do that. We might not know how to reduce those reactive tendencies of the mind. But you can consciously decide to do a breath exercise, just like you can consciously decide to sit on the floor and do some ab work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do ab work right now. Well, now I'm going to do my 3-minute breath exercise. Not knowing, not realizing what it could do, but if you know, and if you're being told it's going to help and you do it and then you feel better, that's using your consciousness to create the right state in your body. And breath work will absolutely put you in the parasympathetic nervous system state. There's many other things you can do. Taking a bath. I love sea salt baths. It's amazing. That will automatically, just being in that water creates that flow and openness, right? Warm bath, warm water. It creates openness. It creates this like synchronicity with the universe because you're allowing things to flow versus scattered. So water is binding, and it's the opposite of the element of air. I was using a little bit of the Ayurvedic wisdom that you mentioned before. So when you have too much air in the system, you get dry, everything gets scattered, everything is mobile and not routine. And there's this freneticness that happens when there's too much air. Think of a hurricane that's like a bunch of air swirling around is basically what a hurricane is. When our body is in a state of too much air, there's too much frenetic energy, it's incoherent, and it creates scatteredness, and things are not routine, things are all over the place, dryness, and that's the opposite of what we want. So when we think about calming down the nervous system, we also want to create more of a watery flow, more cohesiveness, more things that are more coherent. Water can do this. So sitting in a warm bath and then playing some beautiful music that's going to create lovely sensations, all of that is great for the nervous system. I love to use oils because as a massage therapist, oils is one of the best ways to sedate the nervous system. So you at home can go into your kitchen cabinet and just get some pure oil. Olive oil is great, sesame oil, sweet almond oil. I know that might not be as common, but olive oil and sesame oil you may have in your kitchen cabinet. You can just give yourself a nice massage with that. If you have access to these supplies, you can buy jojoba oil is awesome. I really highly recommend sesame oil, actually. That counteracts the air element. It's very moisturizing, and it creates warmth. All of the things that are good to calm down and sedate the nervous system. So these are just tricks and things that you can do, anyone can do from their own home, to really help us get into the parasympathetic nervous system response. Because when we're in that altered state, our hormones are not functioning optimally. They are not ready to produce a baby. It's the opposite. So things get shut off, cortisol raises, and when cortisol is up, progesterone automatically goes down. And progesterone is key to getting pregnant, because we need a lot of progesterone once the baby is here. And your body, your body knows, well, if I don't have enough calcium right now, if I don't have enough of this, if I don't have enough progesterone, well, I'm definitely not going to have it once I get pregnant. So your body knows and is protecting itself, right? If the body does not feel safe, it knows that now is not a good time to get pregnant. It's really as simple as that. It really is. And the science supports that. When the body feels safe, then it feels okay and ready to have a baby. But we've got to make the body feel safe first. And any type of stress, emotional stress, job stress, relationship stress, trauma from the past, any type of stress can affect your body in the parasympathetic nervous system response.
Wow, these are such awesome tips. I'm like taking notes. Like Thanksgiving, that's what I'm gonna do. Getting that warm bath. This is so cool. And use some of the sesame oils. Stress obviously have bad rap in some ways, but we also have like good stress and bad stress. Like, what are the difference between, good stress in your opinion versus bad stress?
Yeah. So good stress is the things like you have a deadline and you got to meet it. And so it does take, and ego is also good. It's the same thing. Like a little ego is good, right? Because if we didn't have these pressures and these things to create tension, we would lay back and not do anything, you know, like if we weren't motivated to like get ahead and to like have all the beautiful things that we want in life and all the, you know, if we weren't motivated and driven, then we wouldn't get anywhere as a society. So there is such thing as good stress, and there is such thing as, you know, I do believe ego has a purpose. That's why we have an ego. There's a purpose there, but we can't make all of our decisions based on ego consciousness, because then we're living out of fear and we're doing things for ourselves versus the greater good of all. And so when we catch ourselves falling under that, or we think like, maybe I'm being too competitive, maybe I'm, you know, if you can have the consciousness to think about that, really stop and ask yourself, well, what would it be? And here's a tip, an and situation versus I can only have this or this, right? Like, what if you change the conversation in your head to say, well, what if I can be happy and he can be happy? What would that look like? So like asking yourself those conversations can be a game changer. It doesn't have to be that for you to get what you want, someone else has to give something up. What if you can both have it? Like, our minds are so creative. Like our consciousness, when we're tapped in, and again, it goes back to that spirituality, when we're tuned in to what's really possible out there, and it's way more than what our limited brain can think of. When we're tapped in, we can come up with creative solutions that are way beyond what we would normally think about. And so changing the conversation in our head to say, well, what is possible? And being connected to that vision, not losing sight of that vision, is important, because all of our fears will come back in and bring us down and say, no, we can't do that. That's not possible. Who am I to think that? All those things will get you out of the soul consciousness. So staying connected to your vision and asking yourself, what can make this an and situation? I can have this, and so can he, you know, or so can she. So we can do this and we can do that versus an either or.
Awesome tip. So in your practice, what are some common cause of stress with women that you work with?
The common cause of stress. Oh gosh. So the biggest one, I think, is time running out. That's the biggest one. Just being afraid to lose out on their chance. You know, that's a really big one. But the other ones are definitely limiting beliefs from childhood. And I would say the not feeling good enough is what I have seen so far as the biggest one. That can come a lot from like a perfectionism upbringing, like where, you know, your parents want us to get everything right and do things the right way. But what that can create is a child who then grows up to be an adult who doesn't feel like anything they ever do is good enough, because they're always trying to meet some expectation that was ingrained in them from little, even if it was done for good intentions. But when you're constantly being shown a better way or a different way, you're being corrected, then you start to lose faith in your own ability, start to lose trust in your own intuition and your own decisions. And then that can create a situation where you're constantly trying to show yourself up and prove yourself and all of that. And then that means that you're never okay as is, not being good enough. That is one of the biggest stressors. It creates stress, and it creates a lot of bad decisions, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you know, really practical tips: warm bath, asking the and question, sesame oil. So what are other ways to help people manage, healthy ways to help people manage stress?
I love essential oils, because the essential oils, they pass through the blood-brain barrier, which means that they're going to reach deep into the recesses of the brain, into the olfactory nerve. It goes deep in there, and that it reaches an area of the brain that is tied to deep memories, usually traumatic, not usually, can be traumatic memories, but any type of like deeply stored memories from the past, from childhood. And so they can actually bring up feelings that you remember that were good, as well as negative ones. And so when we have like beautiful scents like ylang ylang, or rose oil is the highest vibration oil. It's very expensive, but if you can get your hands on some pure rose oil. If that will really raise your vibration, and it's beautiful. Lavender, all of these sedate, and they're beautiful to create and smooth out our memories, so that even if they're the traumatic ones that come up, there's this kind of like cleansing and purifying effect that happens. And actually, I believe very much in the need to cleanse and purify. That's why one of my master classes is called Cleanse and Purify, and actually have a retreat coming up that's Cleanse and Purify, because we want to be continually renewing ourselves, renewing ourselves, renewing ourselves. And it's so important. We always want that opportunity for a fresh new start, no matter what happened. Mm-hmm. And so again, when we do take the spiritual path, that allows us to have a fresh new start anytime we want. And so I give you different tips and techniques of how to have this fresh new start, like your birthday. Well, right there, that's a whole new year. Your sun period begins on your birthday. That's a way for you to have a fresh new start. The beginning of the year, at the equinoxes, at the new moon. Every new moon is an opportunity for a fresh new start. So the universe and the world gives us different opportunities if we're focused in on it, if we know what to look for. And I love to bring that to our awareness so that we can use these tools, because they're everywhere. But if we're not paying attention, then we miss that opportunity. And it's really a lot about our intention. Your intention can do everything for you. It can make the biggest difference. And again, that's why having that spiritual approach can focus your intention on creating what you want. And it's so important. It can make all the difference.
That makes sense. What about some food? You know, in Ayurvedic practice, I know there's like food also makes a huge difference, and I love food. So what are some food that you would recommend to help balance stress and hormone levels?
Oh gosh, okay. So I would say number one, make sure you've got some really good fatty acids. So good fats, like the avocado, the good fat from the salmon, nuts and seeds. Huge. That's really gonna affect your stress levels, because our body needs those to calm down the nervous system, and it also balances our hormones. When we've got all of these really good fats, it's great for the hormonal balance of the body. It avoids an aggravated system. Ghee, you want to be consuming ghee. You want olive oil in your diet. So all of these things can really set us up for success and create the right balance in our system. You want to make sure you're eating plenty of fiber. This will help with your gut microbiome. You want that. It's helping. It's going to, the fiber will attach any toxins that need to come out of your system, and it's going to help to eliminate them. So all of that's going to help you function more efficiently, which means then that your body will be producing the hormones that it needs, as opposed to not really knowing what to do, because it's going to be in a confused state. You want your microbiome to be healthy, which we can definitely create that with your diet. You want the good fats, which also helps the microbiome. And a lot of it is tied to the digestive system. In Ayurveda, we believe that the start of any disease begins with the digestive tract. So if you feel that there's something going on there, you definitely want to have that checked out by a naturopath, a functional medicine doctor, a specialized nutrition. All of those, any of those will help you create a better state within your body. An Ayurvedic practitioner is also, knows about this. So we really want to create a very strong digestive system and digestive fire, and not eat too much. You don't want to drink water with your meals. You want to sip a little bit of water before or after, but do not drink too much water while you eat, because that's going to reduce your digestive fire. This is working with the element of fire in the body. When our pitta is strong, then we have good and strong digestion, and that's going to affect all the systems of your body, So drinking hot water versus cold water is good. I recommend doing that. I recommend not drinking too much water at mealtime. Like I said, just sips of water so that your mouth is moist, but do not dampen that digestive fire by drinking a cup of water while you eat. It's not recommended in Ayurveda. Having healthy spices, cumin and turmeric, and they're just so good. Black pepper is even recommended to rekindle the digestive fire. So adding the spices to your food is great. Having the yogi tea, which has cardamom, clove, ginger. Sometimes it's got turmeric, black pepper. Sometimes it has anise. So yogi tea, chai tea is super good for the digestive system and to maintain a healthy body. It's really great for your immune system too. All of these things that I'm talking about, they're good for your nervous system, they're good for your endocrine system, they're good for your digestive system, they're good for your immune system. I mean, they all work hand in hand together. And as you know, if one system is out of balance, then it's going to trickle down and it will affect other systems. So if you just start with any of the systems to balance any of them, you can just start with the digestive system. It's going to be really good. Turmeric is another great herb to make sure that you're taking, because that will help pretty much all of the things I've just talked about. Turmeric is wonderful. Turmeric is also great for the brain. So turmeric is a wonder. It's a wonder herb. I recommend you take it. Careful in pregnancy, however. So if you get pregnant, I would recommend that you stop taking turmeric. It has a very cleansing effect. So good for fertility before you conceive, but if you think you might be pregnant, I would just watch out. Definitely listen to your doctor on that. And without the advice of anyone, then I would just cut out the turmeric. Like if you don't have, if you haven't asked anyone, just cut out turmeric once you get pregnant. Just be safe,
This is really interesting. All these herbs also, like in Chinese medicine, they're also like warming herbs, so which is also good for your womb, good for your system, which is really cool. There's this parallel between Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine. So we know that you help women balance spirituality and fertility, lower stress. What's a session with you look like?
So I have a coaching program that's divided into various coaching sessions. So if you're in my coaching program, then each session will have a theme and we go through different things in a systematic way. Sometimes my women just want to come on and meditate together. So I'll guide them through. I do sounding meditation because I believe strongly in the power of sound. So we'll do sounds with your own voice. And that's good for your throat chakra, which has a relationship with the cervix. And opening up the throat chakra is very, very important for fertility as well, and having your own voice. And it gives you a lot of empowerment when we do this. So some women actually, it's really impactful on a spiritual level for them to really open up this throat chakra. So we can do a number of different things. I have specific themes and a pathway, but it could be whatever is needed at the time. We could work more on the chakras. We could do breathing exercises in a session. We could do mantra practice in a session. And I also have a healing, an energetic healing that I do. It's called Harmonium Transcendental Healing System. I learned there's a physical while you're on the table healing. And then last year I learned the distance healing component of that. And so I've been starting to do more of those this year. And since the pandemic, it's been a blessing to have that. So I've been doing more of that, but that is a technique that calms down the emotional body and puts you in a state of parasympathetic nervous system activated. Like it takes out the stress, actually. It's an energy technique that is good. It balances the emotional body. It also balances karma, and it puts you in a state of rest and relax versus stress. So that's, and then I also, really I speak with my women about anything that comes up, anything from nutrition to relationship problems, to problems with their moms, to overcoming limiting beliefs. All of that is in my program. So just depending on where we are and what's really needed or what the main focus is, that's what we'll work on in any given session.
Makes sense. So then what are the difference? What kind of recommendation you would give to a woman who's trying to conceive versus someone who's already pregnant?
So for someone who wants to get pregnant, I would recommend just doing whatever you need to do to get into your heart space. Whatever you need. It could be a yoga class. It could be a mantra. It could be an essential oil. It could be taking regular baths. It could be listening to spiritual talks. Do whatever you need to do to get into your heart space. Activating that heart space is going to open the door to receptivity, to allowing, to giving up control, to raising your consciousness, and to actually rising above matter. Because when we have an open heart, we see more possibilities. This is important for fertility. So my biggest recommendation would be to activate the heart space. I have a heart chakra meditation actually, so that could be helpful. and anything that you can do to open up that space is really important. You know, besides all the other things, the supplements, and you know, most women I find are already on 100 things, you know, 100 supplements. They're on 100 different recommendations and supplements and all that. So, you know, while you want to make sure that there's nothing major missing, like you want to make sure you have enough vitamin D, you want to make sure you've got a lot of antioxidants, and sometimes things like quercetin and glutathione and things like that can really help. But my intention is not to get them on more supplements than they're already doing. It's really more about, well, what else is missing from a spiritual perspective, and what do we need to open up? What has been closed and clamped that we need to open up to allow fertility to happen more easily and more gracefully?
Wonderful. We do have one question comes in. Say, can you touch on probiotics for good guts? Is seed probiotic really the only effective probiotic because it's double encapsulation? I actually don't know that answer.
Yeah, so, you know, you want to, okay, so for the gut, you, like I said before, you want to make sure you've got fiber in your system, and you want to make sure that you've got a lot of healthy oils. Seeds and nuts are amazing. They are amazing, okay? You don't need to have just the seeds, was the question about seeds, right? You don't need to have seeds, but pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, like all of these seeds and nuts are really, really helpful. And I definitely recommend them for balancing the gut. You know, and like I said, don't underestimate the power of oil and ghee and avocado. It's really important that all of these are there to really make sure that the digestive system is functioning properly, and fiber. You want that fiber. So, so yeah, and what else can I tell you about the seeds? I mean, they're all flax and chia seeds, hemp seeds. Those are the ones you want to concentrate on the most if you're going with seeds. Okay, flax, hemp, and chia seeds are amazing. Nuts, you've got, you know, walnuts are really good. You know, there's just I really can't speak enough about that. And what's also really good is to eat beans. Beans are actually going to help your digestive system and give you what you need. They have a lot of fiber. Just make sure that you pre-soak the beans, because sometimes they can have they don't digest well. But if you soak the beans, and that takes away a lot of the substances that create havoc in the digestive system, then the beans are fine. So you can actually soak them overnight. That's the best way. That's in Ayurveda. That's what we've been taught. You soak the beans overnight. You wash them really well, and then that's what you make a soup out of, or a stew out of, or, you know, we make khichdi in Ayurveda, which is beans and basmati rice. So yeah, things that are simple on the digestive system and really promote healthy bowel movement. So those seeds are great, fiber for sure, and you know, all the really lovely fatty acids. Yeah, kombucha is good.
Kombucha is good. Somebody asked, is kombucha good? So
yeah, yes, I like kombucha. I like kombucha. If you're concerned about the alcohol, you don't have to. It's not the only thing you can use. Like I said, you can use all those other you know, ingredients and foods I mentioned. But kombucha is good to create.
It's all those. It's also all those live yeast from kombucha, right?
Yeah.
One of the I love kimchi, which also have the you know, live yeast, but I remember that I can't cook kimchi. You know, if you cook it, you kind of kill the yeast. The same as having sobas, and then also other things.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us today, Annette. And then, like, everyone, be sure to follow Annette at Annette Figueroa for Instagram, and then also you can check out our LinkedIn bio. You will be able to find Annette's website there. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a joy, Jenna. Thank you so much. I loved having you on my summit. If anyone wants to hear her, it's fertilityandtoxicity.com. you can sign up and you can find out how to find her interview on that. That was awesome. You just talked about your product and how it relieves all the toxins from our life, how you can find out what is needed. And yeah, and I just let me know whatever else you need, Jenna. I love you and your community, and thank you for bringing me on.
No, thank you so much. Okay,
Bye.
bye.